Live in high definition from WBFF in Baltimore. This is Fox 45 News at 10.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Gilbert.
And I'm Kai Jackson. So far, the situation today has remained largely peaceful.
This is the city's curfew went into effect just moments ago. We want to bring you up to date on what we know so far.
Baltimore City Police say there were 20 police officers hurt yesterday. 2 remain in shock trauma.
247 people were arrested, including 181 men, 51 women, 3 people under 18.
Vehicle fires were a big problem last night. There were 144 of them.
The reinforcements swarmed the city today. Nearly 3,000 National Guardsmen and police officers were in Baltimore today, including hundreds from out of state. Tonight, Joy LaPola has been at the scene of the protests in West Baltimore at Pennsylvania and North all night. She brings us now the very latest from that scene there. Hi, Joy.
Hello, Jennifer. Well, around 8 o'clock, we did start to see people leave this area, but as you can see, there are still hundreds of people here. A lot of the people you do see here are members of the media, but there are still a lot of residents here as well, despite that 10 o'clock curfew that the mayor has put in place. Now, you see behind me that police still have this stretch of roadway blocked. We have not seen them advance yet, despite the curfew being in place. Just a short time ago, we heard from Senator Catherine Pugh asking people, begging people to please go home. Now, this is the intersection where that CVS burned and was looted yesterday. You can still smell remnants of that fire in the air even tonight. But earlier today, this scene here was more like a music festival, if you can believe that. Take a listen.
There is healing. I believe that all things work together for the good. I think this is a terrible tragedy and travesty, and I know that God is able to bring healing to the people. As I said to the young lady, you know, there are a lot of people who are hearing people, but there's not a lot of people that's listening.
That's all we want is justice. Like I can say it 50 times, but they gotta put it in action. We need action. That's it. Because if one of us would have did the crime, we'd be doing the time. That's it.
Now, we did have video of some musical instruments being played, but those 2 individuals who you just heard from, when we arrived on this scene, we actually saw the 2 of them praying together. That was a young man from the community who was really upset over the whole Freddie Gray incident, and that was something that we heard a lot more about today. And some people even told me that they felt as if that message was getting a little bit lost. We saw roller skaters out here, and as I mentioned, musical instruments being played. So it did take on a different feel, but again, you did see demonstrators marching through this area peacefully, refocusing again not on the looting or doing damage, but rather on the incident involving Freddie Gray. You can see all these cameras behind me. I can't get my way in there, but Congressman Elijah Cummings has just arrived on the scene here. He's circled by reporters and photographers. He's in here right now addressing this situation. We'll hear what he has to say, and we'll bring you an update a little bit later in the newscast. Reporting live from West Baltimore tonight, Joy LaPola, Fox 45 News.
All right, thank you, Joy. And earlier tonight, people were marching peacefully in the city. This was the scene in West Baltimore as dozens of people took to the streets in the neighborhood where Freddie Gray was arrested. It was Gray's death in police custody that triggered earlier protests that eventually led to violence. Gray's cousin was among those marching tonight.
Let the state and the federal government do their job and bring these people to justice. I got faith that they will bring these officers up on charges, man, and, you know, like, let them do their job. Just give them some time. They say they're investigating, and, you know, I believe that Freddie didn't die in vain, that those police are going to go to jail and we're going to get justice for what happened.
Freddie Gray's cousin says the family was very disappointed at the violence that broke out after Freddie Gray's funeral yesterday. A lot of the National Guard troops in Baltimore were guarding the Inner Harbor today. We go live to our Paul Gessler, who's at the Inner Harbor right now. Paul, how are things looking there tonight?
Well, calm and quiet, all things considered, Jennifer. Usually at 10 o'clock on a nice night like this place would be pretty bustling with some runners, tourists, maybe people out on a first date. Not the case tonight. This entire west side of the harbor walk, totally empty. To give you some perspective, this is the area where some looters and vandalizers hit just on Saturday night. The H&M downstairs, the Urban Outfitters upstairs, still boarded up upstairs at the Urban Outfitters. And you know, I asked law enforcement how they're going to be enforcing this 10 o'clock curfew, and they told me, well, quite frankly, this is a way to weed out the good from the bad, and they're going to be very, quote, heavy-handed with their warnings. If people are out here and don't need to be out here, any essential personnel or broadcasters like us. The National Guard is stationed over here. This is just one cluster of many around the Inner Harbor and Pratt Street. This is the city's crown jewel, after all. It's now surrounded by fatigues and men and women in uniform in the state police as well. And we shot some video just about 2 hours ago of that final protest of the night at City Hall, where it was relatively peaceful. A lot of the same messages we've been hearing. City Hall surrounded by members of the local, national, and international media as well. There was a bit of some tension with police at the end of that protest as they were starting their march back to the Gilmore area. NAACP Baltimore President Tessa Aston Hill had to step between the protesters and police. We caught up with her after the crowd started marching back.
Police should not do what they do. Not all police. I respect the police, and I work with them every day. Thank God for them. But when a bad police does bad things to people in a poor neighborhood, then things happen.
So things very calm here at the Inner Harbor. A heavy police and National Guard presence. If you're not, if you're watching at home, they say you're doing the right thing because you're not out here. For now, we're reporting live at the Inner Harbor. Paul Gessler, Fox 45 News at 10.
Paul, thank you. John Rydell has been keeping track of the situation downtown. John, what have officials been telling you?
Well, Kai, first of all, it's just a wonderful night out here in light of the winter that we had. A great night to be outside, but in light of what has happened in this city over the past few days, that's not going to happen. If you take a look down East Fayette Street, you're still seeing some traffic, but these folks really should be off of the streets and off of the highways. This curfew will be in effect from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., but it's not known how many days it will actually be in effect. That's yet to be determined. The violators, and that includes people of all ages, are actually subject to arrest. Late this afternoon, Police Commissioner Anthony Batts talked about who would be exempted from the curfew.
We have no exceptions other than for medical or coming and going from work, that we will be stopping people who are out after curfew, that we're taking that seriously. We don't want to engage in any forceful action whatsoever.
Now, police want to be clear that you are allowed to sit on your front step outside. And again, if you're coming home from work or have a medical emergency, you are exempted. And police tell me at this point, they really don't have any idea how many people might be arrested. Of course, their focus right now is to prevent any further violence. We're live downtown. John Rydell, Fox 45 News.
John, thank you. Tonight, Governor Larry Hogan talked about the state's response to the emergency in Baltimore at a news conference with the leader of the Maryland Army National Guard.
Tonight, we will have 2,000 National Guardsmen and over 1,000 law enforcement officers on duty. We have law enforcement assets from nearly every single corner of the state of Maryland, as well as other states such as Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and the District of Columbia.
This is what we train for. We are trained to be able to support the police department. We are trained to be able to support the government at the time of need.
General Linda Singh says it's remarkable that so many guardsmen responded to the call for help in such a short period of time.
Well, the healing after the riots continued tonight at the Empowerment Temple. Hundreds of people packed the church to talk about how to move forward. Ben Gabarik from our sister station in Columbus, Ohio was there, and he joins us now live from the church. Hi, Ben.
Well, good evening. Church leaders started with nonviolent protest training late this afternoon. They say tonight's meeting is a fresh start and a chance to refocus these protests back to peace and justice.
I connect my faith with your faith.
They started with prayers, but the people gathered at the Empowerment Temple are not waiting for that prayer to be answered. They want to take action.
I'm here to stand up in my community and be a voice that can be heard, and not just being heard, but also being seen.
Lamont Jones says he has been out in his neighborhood trying to stop the rioting because talk is cheap.
It's not about the words that you say, it's about the work that you put in on the ground.
And these are some of the people looking to lead on the ground. Several hundred pastors, priests, and other ministers met together to talk about how they can lead Baltimore in a different direction.
They look to us to be able to put that all together for them, give them a sense of hope, give them a sense of dignity, a sense of which way to go.
People young and old got up in front of the crowd talking about failing schools or corruption being the problem. But the message here tonight was violence is not the solution.
We're like a phoenix rising from the ashes tonight, starting a brand new chapter for what we believe is going to become a better Baltimore.
And this meeting wrapped up shortly after 9 o'clock tonight. Church leaders here say they wanted to make sure they gave enough time for everyone to get home before tonight's 10 o'clock curfew. Reporting live in Northwest Baltimore, I'm Ben Garbrick, Fox 45 News.
All right, Ben, thank you for that report tonight. We're going to take you back now live to West Baltimore. Our Joy LaPola at the scene of Pensy and North, where police are trying to clear the streets, that very large crowd that's been assembled there. Hi, Joy.
Hello, Jennifer. Well, we just heard from Congressman Elijah Cummings. He did speak to us briefly and told us that, there are still a lot of people here in Baltimore hurting over the incident involving Freddie Gray, the investigation, the lack of answers with still so many questions pending. As I mentioned earlier, we heard from Senator Pugh asking people to please go home. We just heard from the congressman. He he went behind the officers who you see here, got a bullhorn, and again reiterated the same message, asking the residents to go home. At that point, tensions began to escalate, and there was a real turn towards the media with some people here. They're very frustrated. We saw them approach one journalist earlier today and take issue with the fact that they were being referred to as thugs. So, the mood is definitely changing here at this point. We haven't... I'm not sure if you had a chance to hear that, Jennifer. The media is being asked to clear the area along with all of the residents. That message coming from a helicopter flying above us. Again, we haven't seen officers advance, but you certainly get the feeling that it's just a matter of time before that occurs. So that's the latest. You can see that the crowd has started to move back, but as far as actually leave the scene here, that has not occurred yet.
So, Joy, did I hear you say they're asking reporters to leave too?
They are. They're asking... I'm sorry, I'm listening right now. Yes. They're saying right... Okay. Now, you know what? Yes, the helicopter flying above us did say that they wanted this area cleared. Again, it seems as if the presence of the media has really taken a toll on some of the residents here. I'm looking at police officers. I just saw an object fly in the direction of them. I'm looking at one. He has his mace out. The shields are up. Their batons are in their hand. I'm not sure what's happening at this point. It seemed as if there was something that was thrown at the officers again. Behind this line, there's a couple of... Okay, there goes another bottle in the direction of the police, and there are two tactical units behind this line of officers, and that bottle actually bounced off one of the windshields of the tactical units.
He is mace ready.
Yep. Yeah. And a photographer just pointed out that the officer I mentioned before that is armed with the mace. So things are definitely taking a turn here at the intersection of Pennsylvania and North Avenue.
Yeah, we can see that, Joy,
Jennifer?
and we're seeing those objects. We're seeing the objects flying through the air as well. And obviously at 10:15 at night, a lot of people still on the streets there that they are trying to clear after that 10 o'clock curfew, but it does not look like people are immediately leaving or responding to that eerie call from overhead, the sound of that bullhorn asking people to clear the streets. You hear that and it just doesn't feel like we're even in this country.
It doesn't. And Joy, there seems to be a couple of dynamics here because you've got the media, which of course draws the attention of the public. You've got these were the peaceful protesters out today. We realize who they are, many of whom probably live in the area. But then you have the officers who are under the command of the mayor who actually drew a line in the sand, and now, to a sense, her back is against the wall because she said there was a curfew, and at some point this is going to have to be enforced. But I would imagine the last thing that...
Okay, they're starting to advance. The officers are starting to advance at this point, Kai. Towards us, there are objects being thrown in their direction. The media is pretty much stuck in the middle at this point. Again, you can see this line of police that had been standing, not moving at all day long, finally making their move well into the 10 o'clock hour. This is the first night of the curfew that the mayor put in place. As you mentioned, it's about 10:16. The officers have stopped, but I can tell you that the objects flying in their direction certainly haven't stopped being thrown at those officers. If anything, you're seeing more and more bottles being thrown at them.
Yeah, and Joy, it appears you really are in the middle there. We talk about this being a peaceful protest, but obviously we are seeing things being thrown at officers, and now people in defiance of that curfew. So it's, police have said they're going to enforce this curfew, and they're going to take action to make sure that any disturbances don't get out of hand tonight.
And that's exactly right, Jennifer. And we just saw, most of the bottles that have been thrown in the direction of officers have been plastic bottles, but we just saw a glass bottle bounce off one of their shields and just shatter on the ground.
Joy,
I'm not sure if you can see this, but there are still demonstrators too out here holding signs, one saying "Go home," the other saying "Freddie didn't die in vain, civil rights today." So, we still have demonstrators out here. It's a mix of people. We have the media, we have demonstrators, and then it seems as if we still have individuals out here who are just looking to do damage at this point or incite, I don't want to say a riot, but certainly agitate officers, if you will.
Well, and the curfew sounded on paper like a good idea, but when you look at the reality with that large number of people that are out there and obviously not willingly complying at this moment to the request to leave, what next?
No, and Jennifer, I want to point out that I did see a council member out here today, and I asked him, what do you think of this curfew? And he had a few choice words I can't repeat on air, but he was definitely not in favor of this curfew. So it's not just residents here who feel as if they have a right to be out here. You have local politicians. Look, you can see the officers advancing again a couple more feet here. But so you even have local politicians against this curfew. And as you were saying, it looks good on paper, but the reality, I'm not sure how they're going to enforce this.
Yeah, Joy, how they're going to enforce it, and are you getting a sense that there's a group who are determined not to leave at all?
Oh, definitely. Excuse me. Yes, you still have residents out here. They were prepared for this. They have masks on. So, I think that when you look around, it's certainly not the size of that we saw earlier today as far as people here at this intersection. But no, I think they definitely had it in their mind that they were going to stay out here, and they planned to stay out here past that curfew. And if that meant that tear gas or pepper spray would be thrown in their direction, they have their faces covered, and they were prepared for that. We haven't seen it come to that point, thankfully, but it would seem to me that yes, they had every intention of pushing this as far as they possibly could.
Well, Joy, you are in the thick of things out there in West Baltimore tonight. We see that police line that has been making some advances toward the crowd, and it looks like they were fanning out and or making a sort of a dogleg move there a few seconds ago. But there is a standoff at the corner of Pennsylvania and North Avenue tonight of a large group of protesters, not as large as it was earlier today, but still a significant number of people who are apparently not going to leave, at least at this moment, willingly, when they have been told repeatedly that this curfew is going into effect at 10 o'clock tonight, and then have been told over those police bullhorns to go home now to clear the streets. And there they are, holding their signs, standing in the street, and in some cases, a few minutes ago, we did see objects being thrown at police. Taking that overhead look now, you see the police line that's sort of in a curved shape there at that intersection, trying to block that intersection, and at times we've seen it advance toward the crowd. And looking at that overhead shot, yes, we know a lot of those people that we're seeing are members of the news media, a lot of photographers, reporters covering this story, but certainly some members of the community, some protesters, demonstrators that are choosing to stay right where they are.
These are the peaceful protesters, Jennifer, who've been out there all day. They have been holding up signs, but a line has been drawn in the sand, and this situation really has to be handled delicately, because the people yesterday are a completely different group than these people, and we don't want to see any more violence, rioting, and looting in the city, but nor do I think Baltimoreans, the country, the state, the world want to see people who were peacefully protesting. Even though they're in violation of a curfew, they don't want to see these people tear gassed and maced off of an order who, and I'm not defending anything, but you're going to probably have the residents ask the question, what good is a curfew now after a good stretch of that area has been simply burned down?
Well, and just adding to that just within the last 10 minutes, we have seen objects thrown into the crowd as well. So that is where another line is crossed of going from peaceful protesting to attacking officers.
Yeah, these officers are not going to move. Joy, what's happening now?
No, I was just going to mention that the officers you see here, just up the street, there are more tactical units, and there are a lot more officers. And I'm not sure how many people down here are aware of that, but we saw those officers and that equipment come into the area as the sun began to set here in West Baltimore. So above and beyond what you're looking at here, there's a parking lot up the street that is also full of officers and equipment in case things get out of control here.
Joy, we are seeing a woman on a bullhorn speaking to the crowd. Can you, oh, and we just saw something. All right, we see fire.
I'm not sure what's being thrown. There's something being thrown at it. No, it looks as if it's fireworks, and you just saw an officer kick that. There are fireworks that you're seeing. And I just saw one of those fireworks be picked up, and they're being hurled back above and beyond that line of officers.
Well, this is obviously taking
We're seeing, okay, and the line is advancing again. Kai and Jennifer, you can see the officers, and the objects are still being thrown at them.
Hey, Joy, are the officers on the other?
There is.
Are the officers on the other end of the street starting to come in to sandwich these protesters at all?
I'm sorry, Kai?
Are the officers on the other end of the street, where you said those other resources were being assembled, are you getting any indication that they're coming in to sandwich the protesters in the middle.
No, not at this point. So we have this line of officers here at this intersection. A half block away, there is another line of officers. And then in addition to that, there is the parking lot that I was referring to a little bit ago. And it doesn't appear as if any of those resources have been moved down to this area just yet. But besides the officers on foot, I'm also looking at the tactical units behind the line. They've also advanced here in West Baltimore tonight. So the other line that's about a half block away, it seems to me as if they're holding that space to make sure that demonstrators or protesters don't make their way down in this direction.
Joy, are these mostly Baltimore City officers, or can you tell the ones who are on the lines right now?
The ones on the line right now, these are local police officers for the most part. We did see a lot of Prince George's County officers come in. So I would say the vast majority, I'm looking at some of their sleeves. I'm also, I believe that Baltimore County has some officers here. But for the most part, we're talking about city officers who make up this line. But again, you do have other jurisdictions mixed in as well.
Well, Joy, we can see a small fire still burning there. I guess the result of these fireworks or whatever kind of explosive devices are being thrown, and then a great deal of smoke, which makes it difficult to see exactly what's going on from above. Never mind for us, but obviously for the officers on the scene there too, it has to be tough to really see what's happening.
Exactly, and when they have objects coming in, all this smoke does is complicate matters because they don't necessarily have that same vantage point when they're coming in. So the smoke is definitely complicating matters as far as law enforcement goes at this point.
Joy,
they've advanced and they've... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to ask you if you've seen any National Guard in that area, because it seems like if there were a place for them to be right now, this would be it.
No, and earlier this afternoon we were commenting on that, and we did see, we did see some officers who appeared to be with the National Guard in the middle area between the two lines of local officers, but I'm talking 4 or 5 members. Yeah. Certainly not a strong presence here as far as what I could tell with the National Guard.
Joy, you just kind of jumped there for a second. What happened?
There was a bottle that was thrown and in our it landed in our direction and on the ground, and I wasn't sure if it was what it was. Right. So that's why I jumped back.
Well, certainly understandably, and again, we just advise you to please take precautions out there. We are concerned for your safety as well, so please be very careful. We are looking overhead now at a line of traffic down the street and some vehicles moving in. I don't know how far that is from your location, but obviously there's no traffic coming in and out of where you are right now.
No, I just looked down the road and no, I'm not seeing any traffic. Again, we've got a portion of North Ave blocked off, but as far as coming up Pennsylvania, there's still traffic that could come through the intersection, but I'm seeing one car inch closer and closer. I'm not sure if that's a police cruiser or just a resident, but that's the only vehicle I'm looking at right now at the 4 intersection, or at the intersection here.
Yeah, we see that same vehicle. You're watching Fox 45 News at 10, live coverage of the curfew in effect in the city of Baltimore as a state of emergency in the city of Baltimore is still in effect. We're going to continue to bring you live coverage. That curfew is in effect. Police have announced and asked people to leave the area. We'll bring you live coverage in just a moment. We're going to take a break.
And we continue to cover breaking news tonight in West Baltimore. Joy LaPola has been on the scene there where a police line has been trying to get people to clear, and within the last few minutes, objects have been thrown at police officers, including what appeared to be fireworks. There was a small fire and smoke. People still on the streets, although a significant number of people have cleared away, mostly police and media out there, but they are trying to clear the streets. There was a 10 o'clock curfew that went into effect.
Yeah, what you see, some incendiary devices, probably fireworks. That was not from police, which is our understanding. These were some fireworks that were hurled at officers, but that smoke may have worked in the favor of officers because it flowed away from them towards the crowd, and that may have disoriented some of the crowd, not to mention the police were advancing. I know Keith Daniels has also been out live tonight. Keith, are you there? Oh, Joy. Okay, yes. We're going to go to Fox 45's Joy LaPola, who is back live out at the scene. Joy?
Kai, right now we're hearing officers shoot something towards the protesters who remain out here tonight despite that 10 o'clock curfew. I'm not sure what exactly is landing in their direction at this point, but just down Pennsylvania Road, we saw a group of young people trying to make their way up, and it looks as if there is a line of police officers on one side of the street, keeping them from moving into this intersection. We also have pockets of young people down in this direction of North Avenue mixed among the media. So we've also seen some objects fly in that direction as well, being shot by police. Again, some people have said that they believe that it's pepper balls, but I haven't seen anything. Okay, we just saw, I'm not sure if you saw the officer who just threw that smoking, I'm not sure if that's tear gas, down Pennsylvania Avenue in the direction of the protesters. I was mentioning a short time ago, the goal, keeping them out of this intersection. That's what these officers are trying to do at this point, is they have 2 out of the 4 directions feeding into this intersection blocked off. Even the one where all the media is, that is somewhat blocked off because of all the live trucks and satellite trucks. So it's really this stretch of Pennsylvania Avenue where we saw the group of young people just a few minutes ago that is probably the biggest threat. If you take a look over there, you can see there's some sort of fire. That's right near the library. I'm not sure if that's garbage or a fire, but that just ignited a few seconds ago. There's another one back here by this satellite truck that I can see a couple of flames. I don't know if someone's trying to put that fire out, but things are definitely deteriorating here at the intersection of Pennsylvania and North Ave.
Well, Joy, it does look like it's just a few stragglers that are causing this problem at this point compared to the crowd that we saw just 15 minutes ago. Much smaller crowd, but obviously now you have fires burning, you have things still being hurled at officers. And did you say that officers were responding with what appeared to be tear gas?
Yes, yes. And the thing is, Jennifer, what we've seen throughout many of these demonstrations is that the pockets of demonstrators or protesters, they will disappear for 10, 15, even 30 minutes, and then before you know it, they're back on the scene. We saw that last night along East Monument Street. So you certainly don't, I would say that you do have some stragglers, and it appears as if that's all you have out here, but that's really hard to say because they could reappear at any point in time. Now you're seeing officers again advancing through the intersection here, heading in the direction of the live trucks and satellite trucks. They're pretty much in the middle of the intersection at this point. I think what they're trying to do is block off that road, which is the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue, in an effort to keep anyone from getting over into the intersection.
Yeah, Joy, those initial incendiary devices that we saw, were those coming from police or were those coming from the public or a combination?
The initial fireworks came from demonstrators here, but everything that you've seen since we got back from the break, that all came from police.
Okay. Okay, and so this line...
Or at least that's how it appears to me.
Sure, and I know you're on the ground and it's hard to see every angle. We do see, as Jennifer mentioned, this line that's kind of set up, and we do see them from your vantage point and from our aerial shot that they are continuing to advance, but still some stragglers out there, including media, who just haven't gone, correct?
And they've changed their position. They were blocking, I guess, North Avenue, and now you can see they've fanned out and they've blocked both those streets, as Joy said, blocking two of the four entrances to that intersection.
But I don't know if you see this person walking towards the intersection with his arms up and the mask, and that's exactly what I'm talking about, is that you see, I mean, granted, that's just one person, but right around the corner, there could be 12 to 20 other people who just reappear in a matter of seconds and create a problem for police here, or a potential threat.
It looks like all of the reporters are now kind of off to the side on the sidewalk. Is that right?
Yes, we're pretty much up on the curb right now, and I'm taking a look down North Ave, and for the most part, I'm just seeing members of the media, but again, it does appear as if about halfway down the block, just where the trees come over the sidewalk, that there's probably a group of people down in that direction. Now we're seeing this young man walking in our direction, crossing the street, his hands still up. Excuse me. I'm trying to hear what he's saying. He's saying, "Can you all hear me?"
Everybody has to disperse. Everybody has to leave.
He's telling us that everyone has to disperse, everyone has to leave. Okay, we just saw, I don't know if this is, it looks as if that is the National Guard who's just arrived on the scene here. Yes. Okay, and you know what? As soon as they passed, the police just took that band into custody. And while that vehicle was blocking our view, officers made their move, and he is now behind the line. That was fast.
Well,
yeah, he just kind of disappeared.
That's right. That was quite a maneuver, whether intentional or not, but we saw them scoop him up, and that is what they have said they were going to do. That people in violation of this curfew, if you are not out for a medical emergency or going to or from work, you have no business being on the street according to this curfew, and they will enforce it. So there we saw at least one example of that in practice tonight. All right, our Joy LaPola continuing to follow the developments there at North in Pennsylvania, and what's been a sort of tense-filled 20 minutes, half an hour.
Absolutely. I can't believe this much time has moved past, but it absolutely has been tense.
It does appear that most of that crowd has dispersed, and again, police are taking action, as we just saw, taking that straggler into custody who was in violation apparently of tonight's curfew. Our Keith Daniels has also been on this story tonight. It's a city in crisis. It all started at Mondawmin Mall, which has been shut down since violence erupted outside of that complex on Monday.
That's right. Keith is live right now. Keith, what are you seeing where you are? Do you have any protesters out there? National Guard or City Police forming a line?
Well, Kai, for now, no demonstrations here at this hour, no people here at this hour. The National Guard members are standing by, and there are some members of the Baltimore City Police behind the lines as well. But usually this is a very busy bus stop, with people standing and waiting, but we haven't seen any of that here at this hour. Meantime, like I said, members of the National Guard are keeping watch here, and for one man we caught up with tonight, that's a relief.
They ain't gonna open up no time soon.
Willie Miller is back on the front porch of his home across the street
Really nice.
from Mondawmin
Nice
Mall.
It's a nice place to shop at.
He likes the view.
I'm used to sitting on my porch, looking over there, looking at the cars, looking at the people going shopping. But now I don't see nothing.
No shattered glass, rocks, or bottles. A parking lot virtually empty and clean.
It's peace. No police is in front of your door. Nobody calling names, cussing, running down the street.
What a difference less than 24 hours can make. When chaos broke outside Miller's home, hundreds of juveniles confronted Baltimore City Police in a violent protest, an incident that triggered a night of enraged civil unrest. One day later, the National Guard posted at Mondawmin. All the stores closed. Back on Miller's porch.
Like I said, I never experienced nothing like this before.
For now, there's not much to see, with no stores open or shoppers shopping.
People gotta pay their bills, and they can't even get over there to pay their bills. Right now, I had to pay my telephone bill and it ain't been paid, because I can't get in there.
Well, we are back here live where, again, we all know that there's a curfew in place at this hour, and in that package, while we were watching that story, this individual walked up. Just walking the streets here. I'm going to see if I can talk to you really quickly. First of all, how old are you?
I'm 15.
15? Why are you out on the street? You know there's a curfew, right?
I'm going home, man.
You're going, where are you coming from?
Somebody's house.
You're coming from someone's house?
Yeah.
Now, you've heard that you're supposed to be home at this hour, right?
Everybody heard that. Of course I heard it.
Okay, well, what about your parents? Have they told you to be home?
Yeah, I just got the phone my mother.
And she told you to do what?
Get home.
How are you going to get home? You're walking or what?
Yeah, I live right here.
Okay, well, be careful. 15-year-old.
You be careful.
I will be careful, thank you. A 15-year-old little boy on the street during this curfew. He says he was, I guess, over to a friend's home. His mother told him to get home. And that's where he's on his way to. I guess that's the latest now here outside of Mondawmin. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, Keith, and I guess that 15-year-old told you, in a sense, because media needs to be careful, too, out there.
Some good advice, and we hope that kid gets home safely without any police intervention. And, Keith, by all means, be careful. So we are back now looking at the scene at North in Pennsylvania as police have fanned out across that intersection. We saw them take one person into custody who was apparently in violation of the curfew. We are continuing to follow the developments tonight as police try to clear the streets of Baltimore. Taking another look at West Baltimore tonight, the police line at Pennsylvania and North Avenue, the curfew that's been in effect for about 47 minutes now in the city of Baltimore. If you're not out for a medical emergency or for work, police say you should not be on the streets. They've been successful in clearing a pretty large crowd there at Pennsylvania and North, with a few exceptions of some people that are hanging around.
We saw a Humvee ride up to the line of police officers, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes ago, and all of a sudden a gentleman who was out with his hands up talking to the media, telling the media to go home. I'm not sure why, because he needed to go home himself, ended up disappearing into police. We can only assume that they took him into custody. It certainly appeared that way. In this line of police officers continues to advance, trying to clear this stretch of North Avenue in this area.
Yeah, we see that police line moving. They have been advancing and flanking for the last 45 minutes. At one point, they were a line across the street, and then they fanned out into two lines blocking both North and Pennsylvania Avenue. There you see an emergency vehicle making its way through the street. And Kai, as you mentioned, after some very tense moments there with police and the crowd, we saw fireworks being hurled into the line of police. Then we saw things calm down and the crowd mostly disperse, and the police holding the line there at Pennsylvania and North.
We've been trying to bring you images all day of how this situation has played out around the city. People who've tried to help, just different images and different opportunities for people to get involved. Let's take a look at a story Larry Collins did.
It's a Baltimore business that's been open for around 35 years. And in the midst of a violent night in the city, this happened. Ransacked Dozens of people made their way into the store. And the owner says they made out with almost $1 million worth of merchandise. But it was all caught on camera.
Just loading boxes and bags and running in and out. It was children. People had children with them, and women and old men and young men. It was mostly young men. But I mean, it was just really gut-wrenching to watch.
The owner of Sports Mart in East Baltimore, Harvey Levy, showed us that security video. It shows person after person entering the store, sometimes jumping over the counter, grabbing as much merchandise as they can hold, and then running off with it. They left this massive mess. Levy says it went on for hours, and what's most frustrating for him, he recognized some of the faces.
To see our customers do this to us, and there were people from the east side primarily. A lot of the people that I saw on video were people that I recognized from the store.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel terrible. I mean, I'm not sure what we're going to do.
Now, the owner says as disheartening as all this is, the good news are the culprits' faces were caught on camera. He hopes that police can use that to bring them to justice. I'm Larry Collins, Fox 45 News.
All right, thank you, Larry. We are looking once again at West Baltimore, Pennsylvania and north, this scene that has been sort of a tipping point for a lot that has happened in the last day and a half here in Baltimore. It was the scene yesterday of looting and rioting at that CVS store there. Tonight, a police line. Most of the street has cleared as police try to enforce a curfew in the city of Baltimore. Stay with us. Our coverage will continue after this.
You're watching live coverage of Fox 45 News at 10. You continue to see a curfew now in effect 53 minutes. The city of Baltimore enacting a curfew that adults must follow. A juvenile curfew been in effect. The city of Baltimore, state of Maryland, and along with the assistance of the Maryland National Guard, is in a serious attempt to restore law and order after a day of violence and looting that has marred the city and has distracted from the issue of police contact with citizens following the death of Freddie Gray. We continue to bring you live coverage of a police line that's advancing, trying to clear people off the streets.
Our Joy LaPola is on the ground right there at Pennsylvania and North. Joy, bring us up to date on what's been happening there the last few minutes.
Well, Jennifer, just a short time ago, we saw another person walking by this line of police officers, and he again was grabbed very quickly and pulled in behind this line. I am looking at a transport wagon behind the line, and it appears as if that person, as well as the other one, which you saw live on TV, be taken into custody, that they're both now in a police wagon behind all these officers. This line has advanced past the intersection. At this point, the entire intersection has been blocked off by police officers. So that's the latest at this point. I'm taking a look around. We have lots of members of the media, but I'm not seeing very many people from the community.
No, Joy, it sure looks like it cleared out almost immediately after those what appeared to be fireworks that were thrown. It seemed that shortly thereafter most of the crowd dispersed, and then except for those few, and we saw one of them taken into custody. So it seems that things have certainly simmered there at that intersection tonight.
And you know, and Jennifer, you know, a few nights ago, you would see the demonstrators be able to approach the officers. We saw them on Saturday. At this point, it doesn't appear as if officers are tolerating that anymore.
And Joy,
that these people are being immediately taken into custody.
Right. And so, Joy, let's say the next 2 or 3 days, this curfew remains in effect and people do keep this area clear. What has the city accomplished in a realistic sense? Because there are buildings and whatnot that continue to be in disrepair following the violence and the destruction. And aside from the fact of rollback trucks cleaning it out, what happens after that?
That's a really good question, Kai. And keep in mind, it's still early. I mean, we could see pockets of people reappear throughout the night. It's going on 11 o'clock. These streets just cleared probably within the past 30 minutes. So who's to say if there's not going to be, pockets of people popping up across the city wanting to do more damage?
It certainly could be the case. We hope it's not. Our Joy LaPola reporting live from the scene of North Avenue where, again, it was very, very different yesterday this time. But tonight, law and order to an extent restored, people clearing the streets following a curfew, a mandatory curfew in effect in the city of Baltimore.
That's right. A state of emergency continues in the city of Baltimore tonight. We are continuing our live coverage and every development as it happens. Stay with us. Fox 45 Late Edition is next. Welcome to the Late Edition. I'm Jennifer Gilbert.
And I'm Kai Jackson.
We are taking a look at the scene moments ago at North and Pennsylvania Avenue. You see that Humvee rolling through, and what's going on right behind it? Well, they took down a guy and took him into custody who was apparently in violation of the citywide curfew.
That's right. And people at the scene were throwing what appeared to be fireworks at that police line at the same location.
Now, that was just a few minutes ago, but since that time, the crowd that you're seeing there has widely dispersed, and most of the people that were on the street there, again, have cleared out of that intersection. The police line's still there, but we saw from that video a very tense situation there about 45 minutes ago to 30 minutes ago as police were under fire from fireworks and then took at least 1 or 2 people into custody.
We had aerial view of this in the chopper, and also a ground crew, Fox 45's Joy LaPola and her photographer out on the scene. Joy, what's going on right now?
What's happening now? I just walked down the street, Kai, to see if the people I can see down a distance down the road, if those were members of the media or residents here in Baltimore. They all appear to be members of the media at this point. So for the most part, it seems as if the crowd here has dispersed. I'm seeing the man on his bike. I don't believe that he is a member of the